We are in search of for the next president and leaders in this country, and that is perhaps not an easy task, if you ask me. For Nigerian people, it will be a very tough one. They are now looking critically at the virtues and the characters who are on the ballot seeking this political office. Tonight, we speak with one of those who are seeking out of the 15 political parties who have put their hat in the ring for the presidential election. I'm being joined tonight by the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. He joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowore, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for bringing me.
I think we should begin with some of the events of today. Today, the president officially and formally presented the new face of the Naira to Nigerians. And those who have praised that decision of the CBN to come up with the redesign, they've given several reasons for doing that. But what is your view about that? This is not the first time we're seeing a redesigning or the renewing of the Naira, of the currency.
You know, the Naira was never redesigned. Going by what they presented today, they recolored the Naira. They changed the color of the different denominations.
Isn't that some kind of redesign?
No, that's not. That's, from the point of view of redesign, there will be something spectacularly different from how the Naira looks differently from what it used to be.
So you're not impressed?
No, I already said this redesign process was a scam. I've been issued. That's from the beginning. And I'm not surprised this is how it ended. I think they just remove a filter. Like people used to say, maybe they took it to TikTok and they used a filter to just change the color of the Naira, and then they poured a dye on it. It wasn't a redesign.
You don't think, apart from the face value, the essence of some of the reasons that the central bank governor gave for security reasons being part of it, the issue of inflation and a few other issues have been drawn into the reasons for redesigning. Do you think that this
was
makes sense?
Any monetary policy that the Naira needed? It was to revalue the Naira, not to redesign it. It's never, I've read all the economics books in the world, and never in any book or any policy have I found the changing the outlook or the face of any currency that brings the currency to any value. It's just a contract for the boys, and I congratulate those who got a contract for, making this happen. They're lucky. The rest of us know that this was a scam.
I mean, this is not the first time. So when you're saying it's a scam, what exactly?
See, let me tell you, I was around in 1984, if I am correct, when the Naira was that time. I think it was a redesign. It was Buhari regime in military uniform, and the people that benefited from it were still the rich people. The poor people queued up with 200 Naira, 40 Naira. The person who had the largest amount of currency in my village was 40,000 Naira in those days. And when he brought it out, everybody was like surprised that he had so much money. But by the time the redesigned Naira was given to him, they had reduced the value, the amount of money he had because of corruption. That's the first time I knew that even that regime was a scam, because the people who carried out the exchange of the Naira, the new notes and the old notes, we're just making a killing out of it. So it ended up enriching people, not enriching Nigeria. It was never known that in 1984 the value of Naira increased because Buhari.
But what about the security reason that was given? And the fact that there's a whole lot of issues within the economic sector of the country relating to the reasons why the Naira has to be redesigned. There are a lot of people keeping huge amounts of this money, which the banks have said, look, they're already returning. In fact, some banks have now opened on Saturday to allow people bring those notes.
Because they open on Saturdays because, like I said, this will afford bank workers and whomever is involved in this to make some little bucks out of helping you to exchange your old Naira notes for the new ones. But the point is that the central bank governor is not the chief security officer of Nigeria. You might say, well, the president said he signed off on it, but it's not going to help with the security situation. If it did, we won't be hearing of about 30 soldiers. What would you do differently, Mr.
Sowore? If you
I would revalue the Naira, not redesign.
How would you do that? Well, what does it mean?
There are macroeconomic policies for people in the executive sector and the central bank And, you know, the central bank is naturally supposed to be in charge of monetary policy. But one of the things they are doing there is that, as I have said, the Central Bank of Nigeria of today is just a glorified bureau de change where you, if you know, have connections, you can get dollars and they change for Naira at a special rate. That is not monetary policy. Monetary policy is looking at the value of your currency, how it's performing against all other currencies around the world. And a range of activities that needs to take place for you to have a Naira that's valuable. When people have lost direction and exposure and interest and intellect about how to deal with these issues, they start playing around with redesign and all these very, very childish monetary policies that Nigeria has been known for recently. The value of the Naira has not reduced since it started the redesign.
The inflation rate is about 20.7%
yes.
as we speak.
Yes.
And you want to be Nigeria's president.
Yes.
Do you see it going down? Should you win that election?
Well, yes, it will, because we're going to engage in production. We're going to invest in our people. We're going to ensure that the central bank governor is not a BDC operator. He's a person who is qualified to hold that position, and he has a very strong grip on a monetary policy. And the president also have a strong grip on the new economic policy that will enrich the Nigerian people, not to enrich a few.
Just how low do you think you can draw it to?
I cannot tell you directly now.
But you should have a plan. I mean, what kind of inflation rate, what rate do you think makes sense for the kind of government you are hoping to run?
It will be an inflation rate that is at par with production levels and confidence levels in our market, because there will be a new sheriff in town. But to give you a particular number at this point is to engage in the kind of fallacy that led us to this point that we're in now.
You know what the American people were screaming and were really upset about as they went into the midterm elections?
Yes.
The inflation rate of the United States went to about 7.7%.
Yes.
And that almost affected the chances. In fact, in so many states of the United States, affected the chances of the ruling party.
Yes.
So there must be a target for you. Are you dragging it into a single digit?
I'm not. Yes,
but you should have a plan.
Hope is
Nigerians are watching tonight.
We want to get to single digits.
Yeah.
And as in the US, you also know that when it got to a point, they were planning to make a law. I don't know if they eventually made that law, which is there was a reduction in inflation act kind of law that they were pursuing, because they were concerned about not just elections, but they're concerned about the ability of their citizens to cope with the inflation rate. And they started adjusting a number of things, not just a law that says inflation must remain at this point, but they were also concerned about employment, they were concerned about production, they were concerned about losses, and they were also concerned about the manpower running the economic affairs. So these are issues that you get from leaders who are concerned about the welfare of the people of a country, not the redesign of the Naira, which cost us 218 billion Naira. We could have given that money to ASUU so that we can start from somewhere. They can call off this strike conclusively, and the education sector could be running while we while we produce possibly.
Since you touched on the issue of ASUU,
yes.
For those who think that maybe the government is not running education sector well, and those who
they're not running anything well.
Do you think that you think that you take away the running of the education tertiary institution for that matter into private hands, or how do you run it better?
No, I would never be part of those who ask private sector to run education. It will be a publicly run education program, and we are focusing on free education. I have said it and I'm repeating here that every student in Nigeria who is in higher institution, there are 1.7 million students in higher institution, will get at least 100,000 Naira per semester as study grant from the federal government. And I mean it. I'm not going to make them take loans.
Where would that money be coming from?
Well, it will come from a number of places that we have discovered money is hidden right now, or where we are not efficiently collecting revenue.
Where are those?
I found out just 2 weeks ago in research there are over 11 trillion Naira from revenue-generating agencies of the federal government that are returned to the consolidated account. The NLNG, which is our gas-producing company, of which we have 49% investment, through the NNPCs, depositing huge amount of dollars to us, but they're not transparently done. We'll make them deposit that money in the consolidated account of the federal government, not the NNPC, because that's a cesspool of corruption. We have also found out that oil companies, both local and international oil companies, are owing over 4-point-something billion. I believe it's 6-point-something billion beyond that we can collect very quickly and put the money to use locally. We don't need to borrow. In my first and second, my first 4 years, I have discovered where we can plug all the loopholes and make more money that's a larger pile, so that you don't need to engage in.
You have an idea of the debt servicing in the budget at the moment?
Yes.
And the percentage of that in the entire budget of Nigeria?
So I've said it.
So because the reason why I'm asking this question is that we've heard over and over again how politicians make promises.
I'm not a politician. I'm a political activist, and I'm straightforward about what I'm capable of.
Because you're running for office. That's
that doesn't
basic
make me a
definition
politician.
of being a politician.
Well, what politicians are known as in Nigeria are people who deceive people, and I'm not that kind of a person. If that's the meaning of politicians to Nigeria, because we are talking contextually to Nigeria.
So that Nigerians don't feel that there's a deceit here.
I'm not deceiving anybody.
Just a moment, if I push in the question, because you're saying that you're not going to borrow, you're not going to do this, you're going to spend almost 170 billion naira every 5 months, because you said every semester you will give free 170 billion naira
to Nigerians. Yes, 100,000
naira
to Nigerians.
Times 1.7 million.
Absolutely.
So that is where the question comes.
Yes.
Where would you be getting this money from? When Nigeria couldn't even pay lecturers.
I've just told you about 11 trillion naira of unremitted revenue. They're sitting in the bank accounts of our MDAs that we can get because it belongs to the federal government. 11 trillion naira is a huge amount of money. Money is owed by oil companies. If we do the investigation further where they deposit the oil, where they take the oil to, you discover it's about $62 billion. I've told you about NLG partnership and what they owe us, and several other sources of income in this country that are being covered up because they know there's no leadership who knows how to find all this money. I'm talking to you as a citizen of Nigeria who has operated alone, almost virtually, finding money, kicking out sources where money has been hidden, having to provide evidence for stolen monies, and ensuring that some of the monies that were taken outside, offshore corruption. I've been the person who covered it the most in the last, since 2006, through Sahara Reporters. So when I'm telling you this fact, believe them. I know the politicians, I know how they steal, I know how the money in this country is being frittered. I'm not just saying it to lie to you on TV. It's a matter of fact, and that if you get to work, you'll be shocked. Nigerians will be begging me to continue in government after my 2 terms when I do the job that I'm telling you. But I don't want to do more than 2 terms. I'm not interested.
You are not a sit-tight.
No, I'm not interested. I'm just saying that, there's a lot of low-hanging fruits. And there's a lot of things that can be done without making governance look like rocket science.
So you think corruption is a major problem?
It's not about corruption. It's the cost of governance. It's the fact that
we're not efficient. What would you do differently in terms of cost of governance?
Me, I've said it. I'm not going to repeat a minister and have a minister of state. I want to work towards the elimination of one of the legs of the National Assembly, because it's useless to have 2 arms that are not doing it. There are more senators in Nigeria with 21 trillion naira budget than the U.S. government that's like trillion of dollars in budgets. What are we doing with them? Get rid of one of them.
So ensure that you will collapse the National Assembly into 1 arm.
1 arm, yes. 1 arm.
How easy would that be?
It won't be easy, but it's a matter of fact that we're going to convince the people that you don't need this burden. And that's just the National Assembly. Executive arm has its own too, that I can do easily. Because ensuring that a lot of the ministries, agencies now that you have that are not functioning.
Which of those kind of agencies?
There are plenty of them that I've discovered. And if we sit here and start discussing them, you'll be shocked at how many agencies are.
For example, which one gives you the most worry that doesn't need to be in existence, for example?
I don't know why we have multiple security agencies, for instance. I will merge, for instance, the EFCC. I'm just giving one example with the ICPC. They do the same job, essentially. Why do you need all those buildings, manpower, when you can merge them together? And you have all, multiple agencies. For instance, also I've talked about pilgrimage. Why are we investing in pilgrimage? When even the holy books for the pilgrim says, if you don't have money, don't go on pilgrimage, but you're spending billions of naira Instead of investing money in Taraba kids and Kaduna and Kano kids to go to school, we are sending more pilgrimages to Mecca, and we are sending more pilgrims to Israel. Then you have more kids doing WAEC in some of the states.
You're speaking more like an activist rather than someone who understands.
I just told you I wasn't a politician a few minutes ago, and you didn't agree.
No. I'm saying no. What I don't agree with is the fact that that I am a journalist.
Yes,
and I don't want to be called a. No, you were once.
I'm still a journalist.
If I don't want to become
a citizen journalist, I made myself a journalist. Not
if I don't want to be called a journalist, doesn't mean that I'm not a journalist.
Okay,
that's what I mean. No, you practice. You are doing politics right now.
I'm doing political activism. The one of a revolutionary kind.
And I don't know how far that will go. That will take you. The reason why I'm asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're trying to pull down the house, isn't it?
No.
In the manner in which you are approaching.
I'm trying to pull down this part of the house that has collapsed on the people. Take the people out of the rubble. That's what I'm doing. Yes, that's different from pulling down.
And you think this will work?
It will work because Nigerian people are tired of a house that is collapsing on them on an annual basis. You know, so 133 million people are poor in a country where 5 people have more money than 200 million people. What kind of system is that? The house has already collapsed.
Are you going after those who you think have stolen the nation's wealth?
I've always done that. Even as an individual.
Would you be doing that should you
on an official level?
How would you do it?
Very aggressively. You know, look, every Nigerian president is always hungry to become the Minister of Petroleum Resources. No, me, I'm not going for that. If I'm hungry for a ministerial position, it will be the Ministry of Justice. Social, economic, cultural, and physical justice in the country. I will be interested in what's happening there so that nobody gets away with the kind of impunity that has bedeviled and destroyed Nigeria to what it is today. I'm not going to lie about it. So you can choose to vote for me or not vote for me. You can choose, like I said, you can choose to vote for the axe if you're in the forest because the handle of the axe is made of wood. And then there will be no forest left when the axe goes gaga.
What manner do you think you will fight corruption? I mean, is it in the style of some Asian countries?
I'm not a fan of the style right now because what we've seen is that there are corruption cases that have been in court since 2007.
I'm asking that, would you be employing some European way of fighting corruption or some Asian way of fighting corruption?
We can fight
corruption. You look at the way China goes about.
I don't believe in, if you're talking about death penalty, I don't believe in death penalty. I don't want to.
How do you think it's best to
it's preventive, is to make sure that they don't even lay their hands on the bulk of our resources before we stop them. And then we can do enforcement of a few who might outsmart the system. And afterwards, the system doesn't pardon you. I'm not going to be president who pardons somebody who's convicted for corruption.
You have once talked about the fleet of cars and the flight plane that is in the custody of
public officials.
Public officials. Give us an idea of how you would like yours to be should you be president.
You know, it shouldn't be more than that of a Ghanaian president I saw once. It's like a car in front and one at the back. That's like the security car and the president's car.
Will you be driving yourself?
Why not? I'm young enough to drive myself if I should want to. Most of them drive around at night to go meet their concubines. Why can't they be driving during the daytime?
I mean, let's come to the reality and perhaps wrap up on this.
We're talking reality now. Sure.
No. It's the reality of whether or not you can win this election.
Yes.
Do you see yourself winning this election?
Absolutely. If people listen to this, you know, it's a function of, you know, I changed my strategy in this election cycle. You know, I changed from crowds, you know, the echo chambers of go and gather crowd, because you can rent crowd anywhere you want. I've been to places where people who were in a stadium for APC waited for PDP. You know, same people, different uniform. But now we want to talk to the people, and I'm talking to people, I'm reaching out to professionals. I've attended most professional gatherings to let them know that there's a way to change the game or change the narrative, but you must change those who are in charge. But the problem we're having is that, and this includes the press, I can't stop saying it, it is those who have no ideas to share with the public that you claim are frontliners, not those who have fantastic ideas. In my course of doing a lot of media recently, I won't say a lot, but in the little media attention we get, I found some very fantastic fresh candidates who have better ideas than the people you keep pushing in front of the public, and you need to stop that. the media. When I say you, I'm not talking about the media. I mean, the media needs to stop, doing that. You need to put people who have great ideas on how to make this country work in front of the people. Let them keep repeating these ideas until everybody's hearing them, and not people who don't talk, or when they talk, you can't even hear them. They are not audible enough, or they are not clear enough, and you keep saying they are the frontliners. Well, how can they be frontliners when they don't have frontline ideas?
We brought you here twice in 2 weeks.
That's why I said I'm not accusing you. So, but I thought you should have brought us to your own, town hall meeting.
Wait for it.
Yeah, all right.
On a final note, Mr. SOWORE, for those obedient supporters who said you are only angry because you don't like their candidate, and you always speak about their candidate because you thought that you were going to be the third force or the third leg of the race, in the manner in which it was described the last time you were there, and perhaps because Peter Obi is ahead of you in polls and all of that. Is that a kind of anger that you have towards him? Because I see that you also tweet.
So, Shehu, was I angry about Peter Obi in 1992? 1993, when I fought the military? Peter Obi was not even known in. I
wanted to respond to the obedience.
No, I'm just giving
you a context.
That's campaign, social media harassment that all of us engage in it. Everybody wants to get ahead of the other candidates. You understand? Wasn't Peter Obi the deputy to Atiku in 2019? I didn't even mention his name. If you didn't bring him up now, I won't be talking about him. What I'm saying is that any campaign that is childish, that doesn't address the issues, are, relevant, but not important.
You think you have better ideas than the people on the ballot?
Look, why don't we do this? Bring me and Obi to discuss our ideas on your show. I guarantee you he will not come. I'm saying this to you.
He's not the only one on the ballot.
Yes, but you brought him up now and said he's a third force.
No, because that's what his followers have accused
because I know the other two people will not show up.
Who are the other two people?
That's Asiwaju and Atiku. They dare not show up. They're not showing up now. Why do you think
so?
Are they going to show up in your town hall meeting?
We've invited them.
Yes, everybody is invited and they don't show up anymore. In fact, since they saw that I've been attending professional events, they have stopped coming, including Peter Obi.
You think they are afraid of you?
They should be afraid, because anybody that's got no ideas at this time should be afraid of those who have ideas.
Omoyele SOWORE, presidential candidate of the ASUU, thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
I wish you the very best in your push to become Nigeria's next president.